everyone, and welcome to our post-game interview updates. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Our show is brought to you by Reebok. The Nano X2, the official shoe of fitness, was created with the training community front and center, gathering feedback from its athlete partners, local gyms, fitness influencers, and more to create a product that athletes can thrive in. I personally like the white and gum bottom. They are perfect for that fresh new summer shoe. Make sure to check out the description or the link in our description to get your hands on a pair. On today's show, we have third place fittest 35 to 39-year-old Chyna Cho. It's so great to have you. You're back in Hawaii. You're trying to get back to a different time zone and an off-season schedule.
Yeah, and it's been weird. I feel like I got time warped. Like I left Milwaukee because we flew out of Milwaukee really early, like we left for the airport at like 4:30 in the morning, and we landed
on
in
Monday
Hawaii
after the games.
No, Tuesday, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And
I was
we
like,
landed
did you
in
go to
Hawaii,
bed?
and it was no, and it was 2:30 when I got here, and we traveled for like 16 hours. So like the going like back in the time is like so cool. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's still day. Like every time we were flying, I was like, oh, the day is getting brighter. This is so weird. Like the time is going forward, but we're going backwards, and it was bizarre. But I'm here now and kind of normal-ish.
So you're kind of back on a normal like schedule, normal clock, that kind of stuff.
Yes, it was so much easier coming back this way. Like I fell into place like within a day or two versus losing the time going the other way. I was just messed up for a while.
Well, and how many games has this been for you competing?
Oh, competing. I was 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 individually. 19 on a team, 2020 qualified on a team, but COVID happened. 21 did a semifinal, didn't make it, but did demo team. And then 22, a master. So 35 to 39. So this is, I don't know, 8.
But
I don't know. I'm not sure. Something like that.
But it's cool because like you have such this big variety, but obviously like an OG games CrossFit athlete. In the past, how many days in advance did you have to get to the games versus now being like so far away in Hawaii, needing to get to the right time zone?
Well, I was spoiled like when the games first started. I never qualified when it was at Aromas. I didn't start till after that. But when it was at Carson, we would just drive. You know, it was like a 5-hour drive from where I lived. So it wasn't really a super hard travel day or anything like that. And my family lives in Torrance, so you know, right next to where they did the ocean swims and stuff. So had a place to stay before needing to be in a hotel. So I was really spoiled.
They had a front row seat. They loved that.
Front row seat, everything. And then obviously when I went to Madison, had to go like 2 or 3 days early. And then I thought that I would be okay with like 3 days early from Maui. Probably could have done with 4, but learning experience.
So what was it like this year to compete in the Masters division?
Well, it was super cool in the sense that you know that everyone is really, really fit, but they also kind of feel all the things that you feel. Like I'm not 18. I don't think I really felt that much pain when I was like 17 and 18. And then when I turned like 32, I was like, oh, things are really hurting. And kind of everyone is in that same boat. Like we're all really, really fit, but like we all have like a little bit more of the nagging injuries, a lot more, you know, life responsibilities and stuff like that. So that was cool. It was very different having such a small field though. Originally it was 10, but we had one girl that I think just couldn't show up or couldn't make it or something. So we only had 9 in our field. So that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room. And that was a new experience for me. Typically when we did like a semifinal or did a games before, it was like 50 people, 40 people, even 20 people. Now when you drop it down to 9 and it's a 10-point spread per place, if you do well, that's good, and if you do bad, that's really bad. So that was a big learning experience for me. And you know, you have to think, kind of play things a little bit differently than if you had only a 3-point spread per place. So that was cool, but hard.
How does that change the atmosphere when you're on the field in one heat every time, where, you know, with individual, you have all of these different heats, you have people like shifting based on performance, but with masters having a smaller field, it's so different.
I feel like you don't have to necessarily die for points. Like you kind of know where you stand. Like for example, in the first workout, I knew that I was in front, so I could just shut it down the last little bit. And then in another workout on the third day, I was doing terrible, but no one was close to me and I wasn't going to catch anyone. So why am I going to like murder myself for another square of the sled or something? You know what I mean? Knowing that it's not going to make a difference because I don't have a heat before me, I don't have a heat after me. So you can kind of, game it a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of situations where you still had to like die for your placement or, at least try, but you could obviously like pick it up or shut it down a little bit sooner or a little bit later than you wanted to, just based on everyone going at one time.
Moving up into the masters division, talk about how competitive that 35 to 39 age group seriously is. Like kind of contextualize it for people who might not have watched the games or just don't really understand.
It's pretty crazy. The girl that won, Emilia, I can never say her name. Amelia. Yeah.
Lebanon.
She qualified.
She was a rookie last year, wasn't she?
Yeah. Last year at the games.
Crazy.
Super strong girl. I mean, I think I saw her on Instagram deadlifting like 375 for 5. Like I can't even like roll that across the gym. You know what I mean? Like, and she did really well last year. Her boyfriend is Yonakoski. He's like a multi-games athlete, Anita, that took second. She was third last year in the 35 to 39. I know that she's been to regionals a bunch of times in the European region and, placed fairly well in a lot of that stuff. And just like I said, it's like, there's such a huge gap between, the changing of the guard. You think about 17, 18, 21, and like, we're double that. I'm more than double Emma Lawson's age. So is the other girls that I competed with. So it's just super cool that you're able to still do a sport at such a high level at such a late age. Like when I got done swimming and got done, doing club sports and stuff, I'm like, dude, when I'm 20, this is over. Like I'm never going to be able to do something as cool or as big or even as like nerve wracking, you know what I mean? As like this college sport or whatever. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done a million things harder than that. And I still get the opportunity to do that. Like I can never thank CrossFit enough for, making me this stressed and this angry and this annoyed, but this like happy, you know what I mean? This late in life, I quote unquote. So it's super freaking cool.
What do you think that means for the masters division? Because I look at people like you who have had this like long successful journey of being on a team, being an individual, being on the demo team, and now you're moving into the masters division. What do you say about the competitive nature that shows for the 35 to 39 division as we get to the next like 5 to 10 years and see more indies go master?
It's just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. Just like every year at the CrossFit Games, like the bar gets raised, right? You think about like 2010, like a 205 deadlift for like 3 reps for a woman was freaking insane. And now they're doing 215 on day 5 at the CrossFit Games for a clean, like in the workout. You know what I mean? Like you think about that, like even for 35 to 39, we had 2 max rep snatches in a qualifier at 165. Like that's pretty freaking heavy. And that went all the way up, I think, till 49 years old. And there were people getting that when, you look back 10 years ago, and that was like a really good 1 rep max for people. You know what I mean? So just like 5 years from now, I don't even want to know where the bar is going to be. Thank God I'll be in the 40-year-old division, which is not easy either. Because you think like Sam Briggs was in that division, Becca Voigt, who's competed like 7 million times at the CrossFit Games, podium finisher, all that stuff is in that division. And like, that beat me in workouts. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and we did the same workout. So I don't even want to know where it's going to be. I just hope that I can like still be walking at that point.
Right.
And get to be a part of it. It's so cool to see, like you see, like they even made the, 65 pluses do like pegboard traverses and stuff, which was so rad.
Crazy.
And they did legless rope climbs in the semifinal. I'm like, the ceiling doesn't exist.
It really doesn't, because
keep going higher and higher.
Yeah, because you think as you like age up, so to speak, into like the higher masters category, you think, oh, like it's going to get a little bit easier. Like CrossFit is going to like let me taper down on some of the
Throw me a
movements.
bone. I know.
Right. I don't think that they're throwing anybody any bones, especially with the weights and the movements. It's insane to see what these masters athletes can actually do.
I agree. And it's super cool. And like I said, just like being able to have the opportunity to, go out on the field, do like be in the Coliseum, it's a really cool thing.
So, having been in all of these different divisions, do you have one that is your favorite, or are you still kind of digesting this last experience of the games?
I'm still digesting. So I obviously did individual a lot, which um is hard, but you really only can disappoint yourself.
Mhm.
If you don't do well, it's on you. If you do well, it's on you, blah, blah, blah. So the team thing was probably my favorite only because it like elevates you to a different level, especially someone like someone like me. I was not nearly as fit as my teammates, but they like brought me up so high, and that experience was super, super cool. I hadn't competed individually since I think the beginning of 2019, live. So that was like, oh, I forgot how to do that. Like I thought I like remembered how, but I forgot kind of.
Not like
Um,
riding a bike?
it is, but I'm a lot slower on that bike. Let's
Yeah.
just say that. Like, cause you just like look around, you're like, oh shit, that girl's fit. Oh shit, that girl's real fit. Oh
Right,
god, she's
right.
lifting more than I lift at home. Okay, like kind of playing those mind games with yourself. But I'd have to say probably the team experience was the most nerve wracking, but the most
Mhm.
rewarding for me. I just had such a good time. I think my teammates were just they're still some of my best friends, so that really helped too.
Sure. How does this year's programming, and again, I know that you were in a different division this year, but how does it
Mhm.
compare to past years? What are your thoughts and takeaways from it?
Um, I liked how diverse it was. I liked that a lot of new implements came in, like things that I never thought I would see at the games. Like, for example, like jerk blocks. I didn't get to use those, but like for the individuals, I never like that was freaking cool. Like being able to do a
Yeah.
shouldered overhead without the limiting factor being getting it off the ground or killing yourself trying to re-rack it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I loved stuff like that. I loved a lot of things. For me personally, it was challenging. I am not really good at adapting on the fly, meaning like, okay, learn like good body awareness. I'm not very good at that. I think that's why I always was very successful at the regional level because I always had like a week or two to kind of figure out a few things. I didn't have a ton
Mm,
of time. Like, if you don't have some sort of idea if you can do it or ability to do it, you're not going to learn it in 1 week or two
yeah.
weeks, but you do have a little bit of time to kind of trial and error versus at the games, like you find out on the spot or the day before, and you don't get to touch the implements, like say, for example, the parallel bars. And that I struggle with adapting on the fly. So that was a that was a big challenge for me. Even though we didn't have as many strange things as the individuals did, we still did have a couple things, get
Mhm.
thrown our way that were out of my element personally.
And kind of speaking to that, what were some of your thoughts on kind of the structure of the competition? It was very similar to how we've seen in past years, especially with like adaptive and age groups having like their own day. I mean, it was a little different because of the rain delays, so
Right.
individuals had to also compete on Thursday, but now actually experiencing it, being in the masters category, do you think, or division rather, do you think that the structure and the way that all the divisions play out is like, I guess, in line for CrossFit to have the most success? Like, what are your big picture thoughts on the layout?
So I do think that obviously the 35 to 39 and the 40 to 44 are going to be like the most saturated because a lot of the individuals and stuff
Mhm.
like and team and all that stuff kind of age up and kind of flow into that. As you get into the upper echelon, like the upper ages, like say for example, my husband's age group, which is 55 to 59,
Yeah.
it starts to taper off a little bit. You know what I mean? So in the long run, ideally, I think that the field should be a little bit bigger for that for the 35, 39, 40 to 44, maybe even 45 to 49 um divisions, like maybe 15 people at the games or 20 because I know they had 20 last year.
Mhm.
And obviously things change and money, volunteers, space, a lot of things come into play. I'm being a little bit selfish, but I just think that the pool is so much bigger in in our age groups, or the age group I'm currently in, and the ones very close to me. I would love to see that be a little bit bigger. I think the fall off doesn't really happen until that like 15 to 20. Versus like if you get to 55 or 60 years old, the fall off kind of happens at 5 to 7 people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So 10 is kind of a good number for them. So that's what I would personally like to see numbers wise. I think also, when you go from only having like 7 or 8 events versus having 18 events, like having a few more events would also be a little bit nice. But again, I completely understand that like they're stretched in so many ways, and even just having our divisions is such a blessing, and so I'm so grateful for that. So I'd rather take 3 days and 7 events or 6 events or 8 events than have zero. But I think in the near future, hopefully in the next few years, they can, expand it just a tiny bit more. But I would rather have less and be able to see the adaptive divisions and the older divisions have an opportunity to compete as well versus just only focusing on, you know, the more saturated things,
Sure.
divisions.
Yeah, and I think it's a conversation that I know like myself, coworkers, athletes, managers, everybody is kind of talking about in the space because we want to see the sport grow, but just as somebody who has, experienced it on both ends, I was just really curious on what your thoughts were. When you think about those 8 events that you did though, you took first place for 3 of them.
Yeah,
Let's
I did pretty
go.
good. Yeah, I did pretty good on some, and then I did really bad on a few that I thought I would do really well on. But I think the effort I gave was really good. I personally struggled communicating with a couple of my judges more than I've ever had in my CrossFit career. So that was a little bit frustrating because I felt like I couldn't really control that situation, but
Mhm.
the outcome is the outcome. And like I said, when your pool is only 9 people, it's very hard to like make up time in certain things. So
Sure.
I am happy with the ones I did well on, and obviously have to reflect and figure out what the freaking heck I did wrong on the ones I didn't do good on.
So would you say it was like some communication with your judges? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like what was the movement? What were you going through? Was it a new movement?
Sure. No, actually, none of them were new movements. One of them was the strict handstand push-up, which I understand can get a little bit weird. But I was told to like hips up, and I would stop and be like, "Do you mean like hips forward? Like, is my butt on the wall? Like, I've never been no rep for like whatever." And she's like, "No, hips up," and I'm like,
What
"I
does
don't
that
really
mean?
know what up means, but whatever." And so
Okay.
I'm not very good at strict handstand push-ups, but after like 5, I was like, I'm just gonna do like 3 at a time because I'm just sitting here holding the handstand push-up, trying to bring my hips up, which I don't know what that meant. So I was a little bit frustrated because that was a very short workout. So having a
Mhm.
lot of miscommunication, it was very costly. And then the other workout that I struggled with was actually one I thought I would like win or take second on. It was a 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 wall ball with the strongman implements, like just
Yeah.
carry the Husafel bag, 50 wall balls, jerry cans, 40 wall balls, whatever. On every single wall ball, I was told to get lower. I probably had 15 or so no reps in the set of 50.
Oh
And
wow.
I've done wall balls like in every stage of competition and for 13 years. And I think I got more reps. I definitely got more no reps on that one workout than I have in 13 years. So that was like super frustrating for me because I'm like, I physically can't go lower. I got no reps on pistols, no reps on squat cleans, no reps on the front squats. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know why all of a sudden, like now my wall balls have gone to shit. Um, but I just was very defeated with like no rep, no rep, like lower, no rep, lower, no rep, low. I'm like, I really can't go lower. And I did 250 or 67 wall balls in the semifinal with not a single no rep on video. And now all of a sudden I to a 10-foot target, and now all of a sudden I can't do the exact same movement. You know, it was
Yeah.
very hard. That was very hard for me. And I just was like, I can't go lower. And he's like, well, you need to. And I was like,
Do
well,
you get the vibe that there are certain judges that are afraid to be the next judge on like an Andrew Hiller video. And
Oh, for
they're
sure.
like almost holding people to not the standard, but like an extreme standard.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And I mean, that's like the blessing of the curse of getting called out, right?
Yeah.
And not everyone had that. And I'm sure some people got some no reps on things that were like, well, she's getting away with that, like me. You know what I mean? So everyone is in that boat.
Sure.
And I definitely think there are some judges that are like a lot more self-conscious about, you know, is it black or is it white? And if it's not even close, if it's not clear to them, then it's going to be no, you
Mhm.
know? Um, so I think I had that. And for me, like I said, I don't move super fast. I'm kind of just like a slower, methodical. I'm not a very explosive, you know, go out hot and hang on type of person. So for me to like have that in a movement that I feel very confident with, in a movement that I've never really gotten no rep on unless I completely airballed the rep, that was pretty hard for me personally to deal with. And I took seventh in that workout, which I thought I was going to win. So that was even more depressing.
Mhm.
Um, but you like learn from that, right? So it's like, well, no, I just need to make sure it's very clear with my judge. Hey, is this squat going to be okay for you? Because if not, I think you need to change your angle or something because I can't go any
Yeah.
lower. um, but the movements like the traverse and the pegboard and all the other things that we had to do, like no issues. They were very clear, like little further down, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
The judges were really good about that. So
What was it like to be finished on Saturday and be able to watch individuals and teams on Sunday? Did you do that at all or
amazing.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. I sat in the Coliseum for the whole time. I thought it was so awesome. My husband was saying, Freddie was saying, wow, we've never gotten to do this before. And I was like, oh, I did this last year on the demo team. It was freaking awesome. Like getting to sit there and watch, but like getting to see it like from the full fan view,
Yeah.
versus like a little corner or a TV or under the tunnel and watching the screen and hearing it in delay. It is amazing. I love being done the day early. Like that's kind of like the reward that you get, right?
You
I
can
thought it was super
relax,
cool.
maybe have a
Yes,
drink, watch the other
I had
athlete.
2 hot dogs. It was amazing.
Oh, that's great.
But I meant it was so cool. I loved being done. I loved getting to experience it um from that light. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
knowing like, oh, I've done that before, like getting to see it from here and like feeling the energy from a different perspective was really cool. I loved it.
Earlier you said that your favorite division was competing as a team.
Yeah.
If you could create a super team or a fun team or whatever type of team, imagine a world where there are no rules. Like we don't need to worry
Okay.
about like who lives where, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Who is Chyna Cho on a team with in 2023?
Okay. Uh I'd have to go with Rich just because I think he's a really good leader. I responded well to him. We're friends. We have a good time. I think he's very balanced with strength, gymnastics, whatever.
Mhm.
My girl would definitely have to be Laura Horvath. I think she
Oh, I
complements
like
me very
that.
well in the sense that she also is very balanced, but she's strong as heck. I would probably go with Danny Spiegel or her, but I need someone really strong because I'm not strong.
Yeah.
And I like that she's so unassuming. Like she just flies under the radar. She's not super flashy, but she is flashy when she competes. You know what I mean? Like kind of that kind of vibe. I like it. I have this. She's like so rad to me. And I need someone strong. And then my other guy, I'd probably have to go with like a Vellner. I think Vellner's energy,
Ooh.
Vellner's like his humor, um, and very high skilled gymnastics and strong. I would like to be on a team with him. So I'd pick Rich Vellner and Laura Horvath.
I feel like you need to start a group text.
Or
Planting the
something. I'm like,
seeds.
oh no, they'd all have to move to Maui, girl. Like, no way. That's never gonna
Who
happen unless
wouldn't
they
want
all
to
move here.
do that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know who wouldn't want to move to Maui.
Right? That
But
seems like a great
um,
deal.
but in my fantasy, in my like dream
Yeah.
life, that would be my team.
Do you think you'll ever go back team again?
No, I'm too old for that shit. Like, no, I don't need that pressure. I have enough pressure of being like, doing this because
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
But I don't need the stress of like three other extremely, extremely, extremely fit individuals. Like, girl, you need to like figure that out or something. You know what I mean? No, I'm okay with. I'm very happy with where I am.
Fair. So when can we expect to see you again? Like what type of off-season competition plans do you have, or have you not gotten that far yet?
I think I'm gonna sign up for the one that's in Mayhem, the Masters Legend something. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I don't remember the exact name for it. Um, I think that's in December. I'm signing up for that. Have to figure out something that's going on with my knee. Have a couple doctor's appointments. If everything is good, then I will probably try to train and go to that. And then, other than that, I'm not really sure because he opens in friggin' February.
I know. It'll
I feel
be
like
here
it goes
before
so
we know it.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to do that. I mean, maybe like a Wadapalooza is just so far. I love it. It's just too far.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not sure, but hopefully the one that's in Mayhem in December for me.
Okay. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that. Chyna, thank you so much for catching up with us. Congratulations on your first Masters CrossFit Games.
Thank
Killed
you.
it. You were so much fun to watch. We really love that.
Awesome. Thanks, girl.